So let's talk about screen sharing. Screen sharing is a helpful tool to be able to show what's on your computer screen in a couple different ways to your remote participants. So one of the ways that you use share screen is just by highlighting your mouse or that bottom toolbar and clicking on share screen. You'll also notice on that left-hand side that there is a security button, and it does have to do with the share screen. By clicking on it, you'll notice there is a share screen for participants. This is how you allow participants to be able to share their screen. Just want to let you know it's there. We're not going to necessarily need to deal with it from this point forward. As far as screen sharing is concerned, this is going to be pretty true for any kind of person that is going to share their screen. Now, right off the bat, you can have multiple participants share simultaneously, or you can just have one participant share at a time. So if I click on advanced sharing options, you can take a look at what those options are. It's just basically what we said, but it's also where you can allow participants to share screens. So there's multiple areas to make that happen. In this particular case though, the only thing we want to do is click the green button to share the screen. Once you do that, you're going to get a window and you're making a decision as to what screen you want to share. The top row is going to be the various monitors that you might have associated with your computer. In my particular case, I have 4 monitors, so it's a little excessive to some, but me, in my role, I use those monitors every day, all of them, and so it's helpful to be able to share what particular screen I might need to use. If you had 2 screens, you can pick between the 2, and in most cases, you'll have 1 screen, so you're only going to be sharing 1 screen. One thing that's handy is it will put the numbers of the screens in the upper left-hand corner if you have multiple screens. So that kind of covers the screens. The second row is going to be your whiteboard or maybe a phone display. And then finally, the bottom one will be an application. So maybe you don't want to do your whole screen. Maybe you don't want somebody to see what you have saved to your desktop, and now you just have an application. Maybe it's just a browser window and you want to show what's in that browser window. Well, you can easily just select just that screen. So for instance, if I select this browser window and hit share, all my remote participants are only seeing my browser window. They're not seeing anything that's on my desktop. So even if I were to go like this, they are not seeing my desktop. All they're seeing is still this particular window that I'm sharing for my browser. So I'm going to stop the share. I'm going to click the share button again. We're going to go back here. Next, I would pick a screen share. Let's just do a screen share. So when I click on that, you're going to notice this blue bar comes around the screen, kind of fades off. And once I hit start, I am now sharing my screen. And I know I'm sharing my screen because there's this green bar that's kind of saying, hey, you're live at sharing the screen. So everything that I am showing on here is being shown to my remote participants. I am in a full screen share mode. They can see when I open a Blackboard, they can see when I close it, they can see when I close, open all these different options on my screen. So that's important to know. Now, when you open tool panels such as this chat panel, or maybe I were to go into here and open the participants panel, interestingly enough, this is not being shared on the screen. What is happening is this is just being kind of hidden because of how Zoom works. There is a button to turn it on where you can show this if you were trying to demo somebody how to utilize Zoom, but it's just interesting to know that you could bring up your chat, for instance, or your participants window, and you can talk with people and they would not be seeing if it were happened to be on your shared screen. So stop that share. Let's also share a screen again and go to your whiteboard. So if I click on whiteboard and I hit share, you're going to be able to share a whiteboard. So here's a little face I had drawn just a little bit ago. If I wanted to clear any drawings from a previous session, I can clear all drawings, just my drawings, or any of the viewer drawings. I'll clear all. And in this case, you can go in and you can create text boxes, for instance. So if you want to click a text box, if you want to make it a little bit bigger, say hello, you can drop that text box right in there. Now, as a user, you can click your text box, move it around on the screen. You will have the ability to have the draw functionality, which has a whole bunch of different tools that you can draw with. You can draw, a shape. You can draw a squiggly line. You can draw really anything. There's stamps as well. Stamps things around the board. You have a spotlight tool where you can spotlight specific items. So you're just clicking around. It has a little red highlight that's on there, you can also kind of click and show where you're at. So if you had all the students that had a drawing on here or something, and you say, hey, where's this in the drawing? And they can click by it, and everyone can kind of click, and you see everyone's name there. You're going to, of course, use your eraser to erase some of the things that are happening on the screen here. You have some ability to change the colors, the formats. Oh, there's where you change your font size. You can also undo, redo, and clear, and save the drawings on the whiteboard. Very handy for a virtual whiteboard session. Close this out, close the whiteboard, and we're out of share. Now, when you're sharing the screen, let's say we were to go to a screen share. So I'm going to share my whole screen, share this guy. And let's say we were going to go, and I'm just going to go on Google. So let's say you had a skeleton that you're sharing on the screen. What you could also do is allow your participants to annotate. If you turn on the annotate tool and you click that, and you should be able to move this around, you just got to click somewhere here. You can have participants jump in and say, hey, where is the skull? So they may want to use their spotlight tool, and everyone can click there and show where the skull is. Maybe the pelvis or something like that. So that's just a good way that you can bring up documents and still use that annotation tool on the screen. Not only could you do that, you could draw on the screen as well, highlight different parts that you might be talking about, and then of course clearing all those drawings as you go around, and then maybe closing completely out. You're still in the share at this point, so you would still stop that share. So you can annotate on the whiteboard, or you can annotate on those individual pieces there. So that is how you utilize share in the most basic mode. There is an advanced mode. So if you go to advanced share, so you do your screen share, notice at the top you can now navigate to advanced. Advanced gives you some additional options. So if you had some sound, for instance, you were doing a music class and you wanted to share some audio files, you could click on that kind of share, and it would be only sharing the sound of the computer at that point, but not the actual screen. Or you might want to be sharing a portion of your screen. You have just a small window that you like to share, and we've done this before where you had a presentation up where you hit that share button, and it's just going to give you a window, and anything within the window gets shared. A common way that you use that is by having a slide deck up, and you just highlight just the area that you would want to have shown. And in this case, in the recording, you're getting to see the whole experience, but remote users would only see what is in this little window. Now, here's a cool trick about this, is I'm not in present mode in my Google slide deck. So as I go through my slides, I can just click there, hit the down arrow to go through all my various slides. But let's say I got to a screen where I was like, oops, there's a misspelling. You can just click in there, update your slide right on the fly, click away, and you've done a kind of a ninja edit right in the middle of your presentation. You've not been able to do that before when you're in a presentation mode. So this is a cool way to be able to do a section of the screen and have a little bit more flexibility on what you're utilizing in that slide deck. So I'm going to go ahead and stop that share there. So within that share, there is also content from a second camera. So if you had multiple cameras on your computer, you can have another feed of a camera come in. So we have the screen share of your webcam, and maybe you want to bring in a dock camera as well. So that is where you turn on that second camera. I do not have one on my home computer at the moment, so we won't be able to go through how to share that second camera. And then finally, you can share files. So you can just upload a file, share it, and get that ready to go. So you could also optimize the screen for sharing a video clip. So for instance, if you were going to share a video clip, you were to hit share, and then, so what this would do is optimize the video so that you could actually stream a video and give some of those insights.
Hi, we had a great time in session 2 with you this last week, and
so there I am in the old school, but pushing that video as a share to your remote participants. So that's going to conclude the share session. There's a lot that you can do within that share. I very much encourage you to use the share function. That's one of those bigger tools that it's going to take you some time to get used to. One of the things that I tend to find myself getting into a situation with when I share is sometimes it minimizes my screen. And you'll notice that when a screen gets minimized, it kind of just floats around. So if you're trying to find where your Zoom screen is and you're clicking your button and you're not finding it, but you're still in the Zoom call, it may just be floating around somewhere on your screen. If you get into this scenario, you can highlight the button, maximize your video, and you're back in your session and you're good to go.